What is going on, chat man? Today we are reacting to LeBron had 7 more years, still can't catch Jordan. And this was highly recommended. As you guys know, I am the hugest, most biggest LeBron James fan of all time. And you guys told me check out this video. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. And if you guys are new to my channel, we've been reacting to old NBA content. If you like that, guys should subscribe. But, let's get straight into it. Yes, sir.
They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him.
Every time LeBron does something.
It's going to be a crazy video, I already know. As you guys know, LeBron did say he was the GOAT, by himself. I personally don't support that. I don't think that's a cool thing to do. I think you should leave that to the audience to determine if you're the GOAT or not, but let's keep going.
If Jordan wanted to, he would have done it. If he's what you said he was.
Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. It is the most exhausted conversation in sports media, but it is also the most necessary because despite all the noise, the stats, the legacy worship, and the highlight reels, there's only one man who continues to stand alone at the summit of greatness. Stephen A. Smith has had enough of the excuses, the narratives, and the desperation from LeBron's camp trying to manufacture a legacy that simply does not measure up. Jordan is not just the greatest basketball player of all time. He is the ultimate standard of excellence. Every time LeBron breaks a record, wins a game, or scores 40, people run to social media with hashtags and banners screaming GOAT. But Stephen A. is here to remind Jordan already did that, and he did it better, and he did it in less time, and he did it without asking for anyone's validation. This video breaks down 12 thunderous quotes from Stephen A. Smith that
He is a big Jordan fan. I can just tell he's a LeBron hater.
Dismantle the LeBron GOAT narrative piece by piece. Each quote is a sledgehammer of truth, pounding away at the myth that LeBron ever came close to what Jordan built. So if you are tired of the same old recycled comparisons, if you want clarity over confusion, facts over fandom, and greatness over gimmicks, then keep watching. And make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to NBA Showdown, and join the movement that tells it like it is. Because Michael Jordan doesn't need your approval. He already owns basketball history. Stephen A. Smith starts his case
God, okay, if you're gonna diss LeBron, it's been like 20 disses in 1 minute. Sheesh.
By laying out 2 facts that should stop the LeBron GOAT narrative in its tracks. Michael Jordan was the first 40-year-old in NBA history to drop 40 points in a game. That's not just about scoring. That's about defying age, defying time, and proving that excellence never dies when it's embedded in your DNA.
LeBron did that like 3 times.
Jordan walked away from the game and came back, not once, but twice, and still dominated the court with elegance and savagery. Meanwhile, LeBron James, in his 22nd season, recently dropped his 78th 40-point game. That sounds impressive until you realize he's done it across a span so wide it almost turns into a longevity award. Smith's brilliance here is in the contrast. Jordan did more in fewer seasons. He didn't need 2 decades to prove he was the alpha. LeBron has needed this long to maintain relevance in the conversation, and yet the numbers still fall short. Jordan's greatness isn't a slow
Okay. That's a little bit of a stretch. I feel like the GOAT conversation was talked about when LeBron was early Cleveland, Miami days. I feel like it was talked about there. I know Jordan's the GOAT, but I don't know if it's too far away from each other. Like, I feel like LeBron's neck and neck with him, though.
Burn over years. It was a meteor that scorched the league and never did. LeBron can have 140-point games, but when one man does it at age 40 to make history, while the other does it in year 22 without catching the ghost he's been chasing, the debate ends right there. Smith isn't disrespecting LeBron. He's just reminding everyone that Michael Jordan never needed time on his side. He was time itself. The league bent to it. And even at 40, he was still capable of pulling out performances that sent chills down spines. That's greatness you can't measure with just numbers. That's legacy. And LeBron has yet to match it.
Michael Jordan was the first 40-year-old to drop 40. That's number one. LeBron James is in his 22nd season. That was the 78th time in his career he has scored over 40.
Stephen A. Smith hits harder when he drops the most devastating statistical hammer of them all. Michael Jordan played 7 fewer seasons than LeBron James and still managed to record 173 games with 40 or more points. Let that number breathe for a second. Jordan, in just 15.
That is very impressive. That is actually insane. I'll fully admit that.
seasons, 2 of which he was easing back into the game after retirement, produced a staggering volume of domination. He didn't just outscore players, he did it with efficiency, precision, and a killer instinct that turned every game into a war. LeBron, with all his accolades, extended prime, and access to better sports science and recovery, still trails in 40-point performances. What does that tell you? That LeBron has had more time to catch up and still hasn't. That he's been playing catch-up his entire career. That despite having more minutes, more possessions, and more years, he could not generate the same consistent level of individual
I agree on that, I'll be honest.
offensive destruction that Jordan could. Stephen A's point here is crystal clear. The numbers don't lie. Jordan did more in less time, and he did it when defenses were nastier, when hand check was legal, and when fouls actually meant something. LeBron has been great, but he has had every advantage and still could not surpass what Jordan did in a shorter, more compact, and more demanding era. People want to act like LeBron's longevity is a weapon. It's not. It's a necessity. He needed more years just to be in the conversation, and even then, he still falls short. Jordan's 100
I feel like he didn't need more years, but he definitely did fall short, completely honest with y'all.
73 40-point games in fewer seasons is not just a stat. It is a condemnation of any argument that claims LeBron has passed
Seasons. How many 40-point games did Michael Jordan have? 173.
Stephen A turns his fire toward one of the most embarrassing truths about LeBron James's career, that he spent his first 8 years in the league underachieving. Jordan didn't need a learning curve. He didn't need training wheels. He didn't need to form a super team on South Beach to finally win a title. He came into the league like a storm. He walked into Chicago and turned a franchise known for losing into a dynasty. LeBron had to leave Cleveland, had to partner with 2 other All-Stars, and had to learn how to win after failing repeatedly on his own. Smith's words are not just about the rings, they're about the mentality. Jordan didn't wait to become great. He was great the moment he stepped on an NBA court. LeBron, for all his potential, needed guidance, mentorship, and structure before he could become what the media crowned him to be. Jordan forged his path through fire. LeBron built his with blueprints and alliances, and yet people still try to put them on the same pedestal. It's laughable. Smith is reminding us that greatness is not about how you finish. It's about how you walk into the arena. Jordan walked in with a crown nobody gave him, and he never gave it back. LeBron had to borrow his. That difference is not just about pride, it's about legacy. Jordan created his own path. LeBron followed the blueprint, and that's why one will all
I kind of agree with some of these. I'll be completely honest. I feel like everyone looked up to Michael Jordan, though. Like, he is the blueprint.
always be the blueprint, and the other just a product of
Let me say something right now. Anything that Michael Jordan wanted to do, he didn't spend the first 8 years shivering. He didn't have to go to South Beach to learn how to win.
When Shannon Sharp asked the question that echoed through the first take set, if Jordan could have done it, then why didn't he? It was a desperate attempt to defend LeBron's achievements against Stephen A. Smith's brutal truth bombs. But let's strip this down to reality. What Shannon misses entirely is that Jordan didn't have to do everything LeBron is doing because he already did more in less time. Jordan didn't need to chase longevity milestones to prove his greatness. He didn't need to hop teams or stack superstars.
It's completely crazy how he did more in less time. Genuinely, as a LeBron fan and as a whole, that is crazy.
To lift trophies. He didn't have to prove he could win in different places because he never lost where he was. Shannon's question is rooted in the idea that Jordan should have followed LeBron's path in order to match him. But Stephen A. is saying the opposite. Jordan's path was never about volume. It was about excellence. It was about domination in a compact, ruthless time frame. The question isn't why Jordan didn't do what LeBron is doing now. The real question is, why does LeBron need to do all this just to stay in the same conversation? Jordan won 10 scoring titles in 11 full seasons with the Bulls. He secured 6 championships with 6 Finals MVPs and 0 losses in the biggest moments of the sport. He didn't have to make headlines in year 21 or force narratives about his greatness. The work spoke for itself. What Sharp fails to grasp is that Jordan already did what needed to be done. He didn't play the longevity game because he never had to. He walked away at the top twice, and when he came back at 40 and dropped 40, it wasn't to prove a point. It was to remind the world that
His career is too perfect. That's the thing. Like, this guy, like Michael Jordan's career is too perfect.
greatness never fades. The very idea that Jordan didn't do something, therefore LeBron must be better for doing it, is laughable. Stephen A. destroys that thinking by exposing how far LeBron supporters need to reach just to justify his standing. LeBron is chasing ghosts. Jordan already became
Every time LeBron does something, if Jordan wanted to, he would have done it.
I didn't say
If
that.
he's what you said he was.
Stephen A. Smith's retort to Shannon Sharp was short, but it was devastating. LeBron James has had 7 more years in the league than Michael Jordan, and he's still chasing the crown. That one sentence carries the weight of an entire legacy-crushing argument. What Stephen is really saying here is that despite all the time, all the opportunities, all the games, all the minutes, and all the resources,
I just feel like LeBron, he didn't, okay, I feel like he just came up short every time. I feel like the team he played was better most of the time, but I can't even make that excuse because sometimes he had the edge and he still lost. Ah.
LeBron still has not achieved what Jordan did in a much shorter window. Think about it. In sports, longevity is usually a bonus, a cherry on top. But for LeBron, longevity has become a lifeline. It's the only thing keeping him in the GOAT conversation. Jordan didn't need to build a 20-year resume. He conquered the league in 15 seasons, and even that is deceptive because he spent 2 of those years away from the game and another 2 in Washington when he was supposed to be retired for good. The heart of Stephen A's message is this: you can run from the facts, but the facts will still catch you. LeBron has spent his career chasing a legacy he could never create, and the tragedy of it all is that he's had more than enough time. If he were truly greater than Jordan, he would have already passed him in rings, in moments, in mythology. But instead, what we have is a man still trying to validate his career 2 decades in. Jordan never asked for validation. He didn't have to chase ghosts because he was the ghost. LeBron's entire legacy hinges on the fact that he's still trying. That in itself is proof that Jordan did it better, faster, and more definitively. Smith's point is simple but cuts like a
I feel like LeBron's just trying to play with his son Bronny now. That's impressive though. LeBron got his son in the NBA. Regardless if he's good or not, that's impressive.
If 7 extra years can't get LeBron to Jordan's level, then maybe he never belonged there in the first place.
All I know is your man got 7 more years in the league and still chasing Jordan. 7 more years. He don't even have more rings.
Stephen A. Smith then throws in a line that is as funny as it is cutting. LeBron's been in the league longer than I've been in college, and he still hasn't caught Jordan. This is the moment when the tone shifts from analytical to flat-out ridicule. What Stephen is doing here is dragging the absurdity of the GOAT debate into the sunlight for everyone to see. LeBron's defenders love to talk about his greatness, his durability, and his consistency. But what does it say when someone has had over 2 decades to try and surpass a man who did it all in barely over a decade and still cannot be declared the definitive best? It says that LeBron's longevity is a smokescreen, not a strength. It's a distraction from the truth that Jordan's impact wasn't spread out. It hit like a thunderclap and changed the game forever. LeBron's timeline has been filled with highs, but also many lows. Losses in the finals, disappointing exits, missed free throws, botched defensive rotations, and narratives that had to be constantly adjusted just to keep the GOAT dream alive. Jordan's career was surgical. It was a perfectly written script. 6 trips to the finals, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs. Period. LeBron has had to shift storylines more than a soap opera. First, it was about chasing rings. Then it became about
I do agree. LeBron's been on way too many teams in his career, way too much.
stats. Then it shifted to longevity, and now it's about redefining greatness so he can finally be considered equal. Stephen A. laughs at this nonsense, and so should we, because the truth is glaring. If someone has to reinvent the meaning of greatness just to include themselves in the discussion, they were never there to begin with. Jordan defined greatness. LeBron is still looking for it. Smith uses his own personal timeline, college, as a metaphor for how ridiculously long this chase has gone on, and the end result is the same. LeBron still hasn't caught up, not in accomplishments, not in cultural impact, and certainly not in grace.
Been in the league long enough that I was in college. And still, he ain't catch Jordan.
Still get him there.
Stephen A. Smith, never shy with his fire, dropped a line soaked in sarcasm and loaded with truth. Everybody already recognizes LeBron as one of the top 3 players in the history of basketball. What more do you want? A diaper and a bib. That line isn't just a jab. It's a thunderous shot at the desperate coddling LeBron fans need to do just to keep their king's legacy intact. What Stephen
God, he's coming for us LeBron fans right now. This is bad. This is very bad. He's bringing out the truth, and sometimes I can't defend LeBron because it is completely true that he didn't catch up to Jordan's legacy, and he's been in the NBA way longer.
A is saying here isn't that LeBron isn't great. He's acknowledging his place in history. Top 3 is elite territory, but greatness becomes embarrassing when it comes with constant whining for more praise, more approval, more validation. This is the heart of the issue. LeBron fans want more than what's deserved. They want a crown that doesn't fit, a title that hasn't been earned. Being top 3 isn't enough for them. They want to rewrite history and elevate LeBron beyond the man who already defined greatness. Jordan didn't beg for respect. He didn't need NBA media to coddle him or fans to petition for his GOAT status. The world knew he was the best because he made it undeniable. LeBron's career, in contrast, feels like one long campaign. Every milestone is accompanied by a press conference, a debate, a list of manipulated stats trying to force the narrative that he's #1. And that's exactly what Stephen A. is tired of. This neediness, this obsession with being labeled the greatest when the work doesn't support it. Jordan never asked, he showed. And because he showed, he never needed his fans to throw tantrums online or demand credit. When LeBron scored 30,000 career points, it wasn't enough to celebrate the feat. The media had to instantly compare it to Jordan. Every LeBron accomplishment becomes a shadowboxing match with someone who already won the fight years ago. That's why Stephen A mocks it with the diaper and bib reference, because this whole campaign for GOAT status feels infantile. It's needy, it's insecure, and it exposes the uncomfortable truth that deep down, even the most loyal LeBron fans know they're stretching the argument. If LeBron was truly better, there'd be no need to leave. But here we are, 2 decades in, and still begging the world to accept something that never quite passes the eye test. Jordan's greatness needs no defense. LeBron's greatness needs
That's crazy, bro.
constant explanation, and that's the difference.
Can't be in the same room with Brady or Mahomes because he only has 1 ring. Barry Bonds never won a World Series, and you can't sit here and tell me that he's...
Stephen A takes his attack a step further, stating that there's only one player in the history of the game we look at when
Sometimes LeBron gotta just stop saying stuff because he be getting himself in trouble.
comparing LeBron James, and it's Michael Jordan. That statement speaks volumes because it automatically places Jordan at the pinnacle, the universal benchmark, the untouchable gold standard. Think about this carefully. In a league filled with legends, Magic, Bird, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, nobody ever gets mentioned in this GOAT war besides LeBron and Jordan. And even then, Jordan's name doesn't get dragged into these debates because he's chasing. It gets dragged in because he's being chased. That alone should end the discussion. Greatness doesn't seek comparisons. It becomes the reference point. Jordan is the reference point. Always has been. Stephen A isn't saying LeBron isn't phenomenal, but when you look at the one man everyone lines him up against, it tells you who the real king is. It isn't LeBron. It's the guy who made the league global. It's the man whose jersey still outsells every modern superstar. It's the player who went
Jordan's jersey still outsells every modern superstar. Is that true? What?
6-0 in the finals without the help of a super team or a shifting cast of elite talent. The simple fact that Jordan remains the standard LeBron is judged against proves who sits on the throne. If LeBron had surpassed him, the conversation would be over. But it isn't. It never has been. Instead, we get endless analysis, empty comparisons, and manipulated narratives built on cherry-picked stats just to keep the argument alive. Jordan never had to compete with anyone post-retirement because nobody dared. They knew better. LeBron's resume is rich in volume, but Jordan's is rich in domination. And there's a big difference. One is about surviving. The other is about ruling. LeBron has spent years trying to inch closer to something Jordan had already conquered. And that desperation to be seen as Jordan's equal, to even make the comparison valid, is what reveals how far away LeBron really is. If you have to keep explaining why someone's better, maybe they're not.
LeBron James, there's only one player we look at and we say definitively we think was better. And that was Michael Jordan.
Stephen A. Smith doesn't let up. He ripped
Stephen A. Smith, bro. Oh my God. Did Stephen A. Smith and LeBron have an altercation as of recently? I remember something surfaced. Can you guys let me know down below?
the curtain down when he says it's not just about LeBron thinking he's the greatest. It's about the fact that people in his camp are going out of their way to compel others to say it. That's when the argument stops being about basketball and starts becoming about propaganda. No other legend in basketball history has needed such a public campaign to force their name into the GOAT conversation. Not Kobe, not Duncan, not Russell, not Kareem, and certainly not Jordan. What does that tell you? It tells you that LeBron's legacy, while filled with accomplishments, has always had an undercurrent of insecurity. If you're truly the greatest, you don't need to say it. You don't need others to push the narrative on your behalf. You just need
I'll agree on that. If you're the greatest of all time, you shouldn't be saying it. That just defeats the purpose.
to be it. Jordan didn't have an entourage demanding he be called the GOAT. He let his performances in the finals, his regular season dominance, and his killer instinct make the case. LeBron's path to greatness feels like a PR. Every year, someone close to him is dropping a quote about how he's already surpassed Jordan. It's tired, it's transparent, and it's telling. Stephen A. is not accusing LeBron of lacking skill or grace. He's accusing him of lacking the authenticity that defines true greatness. You can't force legacy. You earn it moment by moment, game by game. LeBron's career is being curated like a documentary in progress. The storytelling is constant. The image maintenance is exhausting, and the public declarations from his camp feel like desperation disguised as confidence. That's what separates him from the true icons. Jordan never had to plead for history to remember him. It just did. Stephen A. is pointing out that the very act of declaring yourself the GOAT, or having your team do it for you, is a disqualifier in itself. Greatness doesn't chase credit. It earns silence. It earns awe. It earns reverence without the need to constantly self-promote. When LeBron's inner circle pushes this narrative, it feels hollow. It feels insecure. And most importantly, it feels forced. That's why no matter
That is true. When people are just like, it seems kind of forced. I'll be honest, like it does seem forced. As a LeBron fan, a lot of people saying their go, it does feel forced.
matter how many stats LeBron puts up or how many seasons he plays, he'll never reach Jordan's level because true greatness speaks for itself. LeBron's greatness always needs a microphone.
They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself.
Stephen A. Smith continues dismantling the manufacturing
Do you have Kobe over LeBron being the GOATs? Can you guys let me know? Like, you guys have Kobe over LeBron? For real?
LeBron GOAT narrative by highlighting how true legends in basketball never had to proclaim their greatness. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a man with 6 MVPs, more championships than LeBron, and a scoring record that stood for decades, never stood up and screamed that he was the greatest. Bill Russell, the man who dominated an entire era and stacked 11 championships, never needed to sell himself. Tim Duncan, the silent assassin with 5 rings and 2 MVPs, never had to shout into the void for validation. Yet LeBron and his inner circle seem obsessed with telling the world he's the greatest, as if they are afraid history won't agree unless they say it first. That obsession reveals a fundamental insecurity. Kareem, Russell, and Duncan were content with letting their legacies speak through impact, results, and the quiet dominance of their performances. LeBron's legacy, on the other hand, has been laced with an ongoing marketing effort to prop him up as more than what the basketball world has organically seen. And that's where Stephen A's words land with incredible force. When the truly great players don't have to claim greatness and the one chasing them constantly does, it becomes clear who's truly at the top. If LeBron were on their level, let alone above it, he wouldn't need the endless promotion, the social media highlights posted by his own crew, or the constant push in the media to rewrite basketball history. Instead of trusting the legacy he's built, LeBron keeps trying to steer it. That is not how greatness works. Legends don't chase status. They let it come to them. Jordan let it come to him. He didn't have to scream, "I'm the greatest." He didn't have to sit in interviews nudging others to say it either. He played, he conquered, and history bowed. LeBron, by contrast, continues to push, to set.
LeBron pushed it a lot. I only know like one clip of him doing that, but I know there's a lot of him doing it, and it's just annoying.
To curate. The result is a legacy that, while massive, still feels incomplete. And Stephen A. Smith is here to remind everyone that when the greatest players of all time never asked for the label, the one who keeps begging for it never really had it to be.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody.
Okay.
But him.
Yet Stephen A. Smith sharpens the sword even more when he compares LeBron's loud proclamations to the humble silence of Steph Curry and Ray Allen. He points out that Steph, unanimously regarded as the greatest shooter in NBA history, never once declared it himself. Ray Allen, the man who's
Curry never said he was the best shooter of all time, and everyone knows Curry's. Okay, LeBron was wrong on that for sure. Then if Curry never said nothing, and everyone calls him the best shooter of all time.
three-point record once stood untouched, also never proclaimed himself the best. That is how greatness is supposed to be recognized by others, not by oneself. But LeBron has broken that code of honor. His self-anointing as the GOAT, coupled with his camp's persistent campaign, screams of desperation and self-doubt. This is why the comparison to Jordan is not only unfair, but embarrassing. Jordan never said he was the greatest. He didn't need to. People saw it and passed it down like gospel. Jordan's greatness became mythology because it came from performance, not from promotion. But with LeBron, every milestone is accompanied by a statement. Every big game is followed by a post-game narrative trying to cement his GOAT status. When you have to declare something over and over, it usually means the people aren't buying. That's what Stephen A.
In the GOAT debate of LeBron and Jordan, how long has this genuinely been going on for? Because I'm genuinely curious. Since everyone talks about this, how long has it been going on for? Like 10 years, 15 years? Let me know down below.
Is hammering home that LeBron's need to scream into the void about his greatness undermines the very greatness he's trying to claim. And when players like Steph Curry, who revolutionized the game of basketball, have the humility to stay silent and let their body of work do the talking, it puts LeBron's behavior under an even brighter, more critical spotlight. The greatest shooter ever doesn't say a word, but the self-declared GOAT won't stop talking. That's the difference. That's the problem. That's why Jordan remains untouched, because Jordan understood that true greatness doesn't need words. It needs results. It needs rings. It needs killer instinct. It needs legacy that doesn't come from a podcast or a press release, but from unforgettable moments etched into the soul of the game. LeBron may have stats, but Jordan has a legacy that doesn't need a narrator. And that is why, as Stephen A. says without hesitation, the debate has never been real, because only one of them needs to keep reminding the world of how great he supposedly is.
Steph Curry hasn't said that about himself. Steph Curry has never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen never called himself the greatest shooter of all time.
Stephen A. ends his relentless critique by pointing out the glaring truth that LeBron James is the only person, along with his camp, who has ever declared himself the greatest of all time. This isn't just arrogance, it's a symptom of—
So LeBron himself pushed the GOAT narrative, bro. If that's true, please let me know. Am I just realizing that right now? What?
a larger truth. If you have to say it, it probably isn't true. Michael Jordan never called himself the GOAT, and neither did the players who actually shook the league to its core. The idea that LeBron and his team are the only ones banging the drum this loud shows us that the campaign is artificial. It is built on insecurity, not inevitability. And that's the Achilles heel of LeBron's so-called legacy. It relies too heavily on perception, not domination. LeBron is the only superstar in NBA history who seems obsessed with how people talk about him, rather than how they remember what he did on the court. Jordan never had that problem. Jordan's focus was winning, period. LeBron's focus seems split between basketball and branding, between dominance and discourse. That's why his legacy will always be questioned, no matter how many points he scores or how long he plays. Because deep down, he knows he never truly conquered the game the way Jordan did. The very fact that LeBron calls himself the GOAT, while every other all-time great never once did, shows us that the throne he wants so badly is not his to take. It's not just about being the best statistically. It's about presence. It's about mentality. It's about making it undeniable. Jordan did that. He gave you no room to argue. LeBron leaves you with doubts. Doubts that he tries to shout over. And that is the fatal flaw. Greatness doesn't beg, it just is. And LeBron James, no matter how many years he plays, no matter how many triple doubles he racks up, will never touch that untouchable space that Michael Jordan carved out in NBA history.
Chat, we gotta talk about this for sure. This is actually crazy. I've never looked at the GOAT debate way different after this video. Genuinely, I know LeBron did break the code of doing that. It's making me think, like, is LeBron even close to being a GOAT for real? Like, he's my favorite player of all time, but you guys let me know. I wanna hear your thoughts. And this is the end of the video, chat. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, man. And tune into the Twitch. We're live sometimes. And if you guys want to recommend me some stuff to react to, go ahead and react. Let me, recommend me some stuff. But with that being said, I'll catch y'all next time. Yes, sir.